you've got to have courage tacked on the idea. In the vernacular, it takes a lot of guts. Some of your peers are going to attempt to knock you off course. Well, I would go so far to say, Mark, that many of your peers are going to attempt to knock you off course. As you go to execute this big idea, understand not only do you have to adapt to the new idea, but the people around you are going to have to adapt to your new idea if they're going to accept you in their life. And it's highly unlikely that they are going to adapt. You've got to be prepared for this, and you've got to develop mental strength, because I'm going to tell you at first it hurts. It bothers you. They try and pull you back to where they are. I want you to keep this in mind. As you take that new idea and you make up your mind you're going to go right to the goal, you're not going to be part of the 80%, you're going to be the 20%. And you make up your mind you're going to execute this regardless of what anybody says. Learn to recognize the men for what they are and don't let them hurt you. It takes a certain amount of toughness in here to succeed. One has to rise above those who would tear you down so that they can laugh and say, I told you so. There's too many of us who love you and want you to make it, and I can put myself right at the top of the list. You aren't going to fall flat on your face as they would have you. You're going to do a superb job. Remember, this show is only one small step in the direction of greater things you will do, many of which are beyond your wildest dreams. One of the things I like about you best is that you always give it hell for try. The show will be a success because of you and others like you who try. There are only winners in the cast. The losers are gathered down at the stable, laughing and hoping for our failure. If we could dig down deep inside of them, I'm sure we'd find that they would like to win also, but they're too scared to try. And they attempt to cover up their own failures as human beings by laughing at others. In a sense, I'm sorry for them. Their guilt must make them very unhappy people. Then I was fortunate, like that elderly couple. I had somebody knock on my door and show me how to turn in a bigger bulb, illuminate my life to a greater degree. And I experienced people like this. You see, what I did was I relate back, how did I react to these people? I reacted the same way. And I had to recognize, yeah, I was jealous. I was jealous. I was cynical. And I would point my finger and laugh at anybody who tried to be better. You'd never find me in one of these at that time. I have come to the conclusion that as you study the laws of your being, that giving and receiving is one of the laws. It's the action-reaction where John was using a little dyna swing. And I found out as you give, you learn how to receive. And the more you give, the more you receive. And that's just the way it works. And as you get that law firmly planted in your mind, and you really understand the significance behind this power, then it becomes simple and, in fact, natural to expect good things. Because you know how it works. You expect your car to run when you turn the key. And if it doesn't, you know there's a little problem. That's a signal telling you there's something wrong. You correct what's wrong. If we see a signal on our results, there's got to be a correction made in here. Let's go inside, get under the hood. Theodore Roosevelt wrote many, many years ago for his son. And Roosevelt said, only those are fit to live who do not fear to die. And none are fit to die who have shrunk from the joy of life. Both life and death are parts of the same great adventure. He said, all of us who provide service and stand ready for sacrifice are the torchbearers. We run with the torches until we fall, content if we can pass them to the hands of the other runners. Now, you know, most of us look at sacrifice as losing something. The true meaning of sacrifice is giving up something of a lower nature to receive something of a higher nature. The only time you give is when you don't think about it. It's just automatic. It's got to be spontaneous. If you have to think about it, you're trading. Now, you get locked into this idea. What you want to do is fall in love with what you do. The results you get are the compensation you receive for what you do. Now, there's a difference between expecting something and wanting it. Don't see this as a difficult task. I want to suggest, ask yourself, have I just been wanting these because wants are here in the consciousness? Expectation is in here. And you can want things, you can see them, and you can have them in your consciousness. If you don't plan them in here, you're not going to get them. This is the lesson. It's important that you get them. This is how you get yourself involved. You develop the understanding. It motivates the action, which changes the results. And that's what we said. It's the understanding and application. So desire is the effort of the unexpressed possibility within, seeking expression without, through your action. It's the idea that's cooking in every cell of our being. It's the act that's bubbling under. There's something inside wanting us to go out and do. It's the idea wanting to be expressed. And don't be disheartened if it doesn't happen when you think it's supposed to happen. There's a season for sowing and there's a season for reaping, but you never do both in the same season. When you plant the seed, understand that the idea is a non-physical seed, but it's every bit the same as a physical seed that you plant in the ground. And that's governed by one of the natural laws of the universe called the law of gender. All seeds have a gestation or an incubation period. I believe the seed for a baby is about 280 days. It's like James Allen said, we wait as one who understands. When spirit rises and commands, God is ready to obey. There's a gestation period. You plant a seed for a carrot. I understand it takes 70 days. We have gained a conscious understanding of what the gestation period is for almost all physical seeds. But remember yesterday we were talking about the water and the steam and the ether, and we were talking about the only difference between the physical and the non-physical is in density or amplitude of vibration. It's exactly the same. Well, keep in mind that an idea is exactly the same as the physical seed. It only appears different to one of these things we call our sensory factor. But it's exactly the same, and it's governed by exactly the same law. The non-physical world and the physical world are all governed by the same law because it's the same world. It's the opposite side of the same thing. But you cannot see that with your sensory factors. You've got to see it with an inner eye of understanding. Your idea, your dream, or goal can only be desire once it has been properly planted in this creative universal intelligence. And we suggested how you do that. You do that through constant spaced repetition, and you do it in a totally relaxed state. Tension tires, relaxation rests and renews. Relaxation opens the chakras and lets the power flow freely through you. And that's really what you are as a channel. Use your relaxation. However, once your desire has been firmly established, it is the expectant attitude that ensures your goal or dream is not uprooted or replaced by any opposing idea. You see, when you understand how this power works and your conscious relationship to it, you're not going to be knocked off track by circumstance because you are expecting the right thing to happen. Most people don't expect it. They just think because they've changed vocations, they've changed towns, they've changed spouses, they've changed clothes, they've changed cars, that everything's going to happen. You don't change the kitchen by painting the outside of the house. If you want your results to change permanently and dramatically, you got to change them inside. Therefore, it is imperative that you understand the following 3 points from Genevieve Breran's phenomenal book, Your Invisible Power. For they will help you to develop the understanding you need to form the expectant attitude. Now, let's take a look at these 3 points. All space is filled with a creative power. It's not just inside, like we said earlier, it's everywhere. This creative power is amenable to suggestion. You create the idea, and as you get emotionally involved in it, you've placed it in the universe, and the entire universe comes to your beck and call. Such a phenomenal idea for us to grasp. We say the creative power only works by deductive methods. What do we mean by that? Deductive methods. It only has the ability to accept the idea and move it into all its necessary parts for the manifestation of the idea. It has no ability to add one fact, one idea, one thought. It cannot add anything to it. It's like a mold. What you pour in, that's what you get back. This creative power only works by deductive methods. You build the picture. I'm telling you, just think about it. You can build a picture in your mind. You turn it over, and that's the way your life starts to go. The same way the architect designs the building, the same way you design how your table is going to be set, the same way you design how to make that dress, the same way you design how to make that table, the same way all aspects of it. And it works by exactly the same law. Now, Thomas Troward, in his writing, emphasized this last point because it implies that the action of this ever-present creative power is in no way limited by precedent or what has gone on before. What do we mean by that? Your present or past results have absolutely nothing to do with what's going to happen from this point forward. Now, that was the point that Roy Stanford drilled into my head. You see, I kept thinking, well, gee, I'm such a mess up. You know, I've done everything wrong up till now. I'm 26. I'm broke. I'm not happy. Everything was wrong. He said, Bob, that's all in the past. Every moment is a new moment. We shouldn't condemn ourselves. What you were yesterday, you paid for. What you are today, you decide upon. That's exactly what Troward's saying. This power in no way is limited by precedent. Even in a creative state, we sometimes don't understand that. Do you know why airplanes, right up to today almost, have wings on them? Because birds have wings. Birds fly, they have wings. If you're going to get a plane to fly, you got to put wings on it. Do you? No. We've got planes flying without wings today. You know why? Never did need wings. But you see, the thinking was, to a degree, limited by precedent. Birds fly with wings. Planes have to have wings. Planes do not have to have wings. You're creative. If you can visualize it, you can do it. It doesn't matter what it is. That's what Hill said. Anything the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Said in other words, this universal creative power creates a creative direction from the idea or image that you impress upon it. It's just sitting there and it's waiting and saying, whatever you ask for, I'll give you. Before you speak, I'll hear. Is that just a nice little piece of scripture? Before you speak, I'll hear. Well, let's analyze it from a logical point of view. What precedes the spoken word, the thought? What's the thought set up? It sets up the vibration. What is this work by? By vibration, movement. See, one of the laws of the universe is vibration. Everything vibrates, nothing rests. Everything from the electron to the universe is in a state of movement. Before you speak, I'll hear. Sound of God evolves around the law of vibration. Did you know that's exactly the way your life is every day? Blank. Nothing there. Put on it anything you want. You don't have to let what's on the previous page determine. You don't have to let what somebody tells you's coming determine. You can put anything on it you want. You got a clear sheet. You have right now. Every one of us has. Now, grasp that. We can start over right now, build the image. Think about it. You fully understand this great truth. The character with which this sensitive reproductive power is invested will become the most important consideration for you. Your thoughts, you will start to guard them. You'll start to monitor them. You're going to start to really pay close attention to what's going on. And once you become aware of this truth, that the universal creative power can only be what you feel and think it to be, it will become eager and willing to do your bidding. Say this understanding will enable you to be filled with the expectant attitude, and to expect the materialization of the image will become most natural for you. There's so much depth to this idea. Every time you read it, you're going to see it clearer. It'll be as if you're standing at the base of a tall building facing east. Somebody said, what's the view like facing east? And you'll describe it. But then you go in and you raise your consciousness, you move up to the third floor and you go to the east wall and you look through the window. The view is different. You're still facing east, but it's different. And then you go and you raise your consciousness and you go up to the 10th floor and you go to the east wall and you look, but it's different. It's much more beautiful. And ultimately, if you'll keep listening to this and watching it and thinking it and relating it to your own life, you're going to work your way to the roof and you'll see as far as your eyes can take you. Troward said, if you think your thought's powerful, it's powerful. Let's stroke from our vocabulary those three words, it's just me. It's just me. It's just me. Should never be just. Something absolutely phenomenal. When you're talking about you, you could speak in superlatives all day long and you're going to fall short of describing the dynamics of you. Talk about something special. You're sure special, believe me. I know I'm special. I think I'm a nice person. And you know something? It's because I know that and think that I attract nice people into my life. But you don't attract people like this if you're not a nice person. You see, I grew up with the idea, don't say things about yourself like that. It's conceit. It is not. It's awareness. If you don't love you, how are you ever going to love anyone else? I'm not talking about conceit. I'm talking about a heightened awareness of what we're really like. Now, expressed another way, as a person thinketh in their heart, so are they. Gets in your heart. That's inside. That's universal creative power can no more change this law than an ordinary mirror can reflect back to you a different image than the object that you hold before it. But remember, as you think does not mean as you tell people you think. Boy, there's a lot of people got that mixed up. It doesn't mean as you tell people you think, or as you would wish the world to believe you think. It means your innermost thoughts. What's going on inside? What do you think of you? The more you study you, you're going to find your belief system is based upon your evaluation of something. The more you evaluate you, the more you're going to believe in you. It means your innermost thoughts. That's the place where no one but you knows the truth. Your sanctum sanctorum. That's where you go to the closet and you close the door. Inside. That is what you expect, and that is what you will attract, and that is what you will ultimately get. All things are possible in spirit because it's an original state. Spirit is a sensitive, unseen, creative substance whose sole purpose is expansion and fuller expression. But spirit or creative substance can only reproduce, expand, or express itself in a greater way in accordance with the limitations placed upon the instrument through which it expresses itself. It's like the light bulb. What did John say to you a few minutes ago? Some of you recorded it mentally, and some of you might not have. Don't expect God to do for you what God can only do with and through you. Powerful line. Where did he get that so deeply sunk? Because he sat where you're sitting and he wrote it over and over and over and thought about it over and over and over and worked with it over and over and over. It doesn't just, it's the way it works. A non-physical creative substance, spirit, flows to and through the seed and expresses itself in its polar opposite physical form, namely the plant or the tree. Spirit can only express itself through the medium of an acorn in accordance with the limitations placed on the acorn. And the medium of the acorn is limited by the pattern plan or the nucleus in the seed. Now, I want you to really think. I want you to imagine that that's an acorn. That acorn is not solid. It is moving. It is actually moving. That acorn is a mass of energy in a high speed of vibration. And at the present time, that acorn would be disintegrating because it can only do one of two things, create or disintegrate. It's disintegrating because it's not in an environment that's conducive to its unfoldment. Dr. Livingston proved that from Harvard way back in the 60s. He took a person that wasn't doing well and he placed that person with people that were doing very well, and that person's productivity went up. Get into the right environment. That acorn, if we took the acorn and we planted it, let's say that's the acorn, and we plant the acorn below the earth's surface, instantly and automatically that acorn would start to attract particles of energy to it. If I took 2 drops of water and I moved them together, what would happen? They'd become one. If I took a drop of peanut oil and a drop of water and moved it together, what would happen? They'd repel. Why? Because they're not on the same frequency. They're both massive energy, but not in harmonious vibration. There's all kinds of particles of energy in the earth that are not in harmony with the vibratory rate of the acorn, but they won't be attracted because they're not on the same frequency. Now that acorn has a pattern plan or a nucleus in it. You'll hear many people say the oak sleeps in the acorn. That's not true. You'll never find an oak tree in an acorn. You can dissect it with the most powerful microscope you'll ever get your hands on. You'll never find an oak tree in it. Do you know why? There isn't one there. The oak tree's in the universe. Where does everything come from? Everything just is. Everything is an expression of the same thing. Everything, all supply comes from one infinite source, a non-physical source. Same as your money, your health, and everything else. This acorn has no ability to alter its state of vibration, so it keeps attracting little particles of energy, just like a magnet. And as they join with the acorn, it's like the drop of water. Keep adding drops to it, and pretty soon you're going to have a big puddle. This thing has to what? Expand. We call that growth. And a shoot comes out of the bottom, and another little shoot comes out of the bottom. Pretty soon a shoot comes out of the top, and it bursts through the earth into the atmosphere. And from the atmosphere, particles of energy, unseen to the physical senses, but not unseen to this power, and it's attracted, and that thing starts to grow, and pretty soon it has roots, and it has a trunk, and bark, and branches, and twigs, and leaves, and it has the whole thing. Do you know why? It cannot change its state of vibration. It's locked in. That's why an acorn can only grow into an oak tree. Carrot seed can only grow into a carrot. Want to know what makes us unique? We can grow into anything we choose because we build the idea. It becomes the nucleus. It controls our vibration, and that dictates what we attract to us. You know what our problem is? We're growing into an oak tree one day, a carrot the next, a maple tree the following day. And you know why we do that? Because we don't see what we think with our limited awareness is coming to us on time. We want the leaves before we even get the roots. Won't work. Never has, never will. Get locked into your idea and stay in that vibration regardless of what's happening. I've often said you'd have to put a great big bullet right through here to get me to stop doing what I'm doing. I don't want to do anything else. I made up my mind a long time ago. This is what I was going to do, and I was going to work at getting better at it every day. Lock into something. Find something you love to do and dedicate your life to it. I see people come into this business and because they haven't made it in 3 weeks, they say, oh, hell, it won't work. What do you mean won't work? Anything will work. Never master it. Do you know the average person reads at a grade 7 level? We learn to read by the time we're in grade 7 and never improve upon the skill. Very few people ever master anything. I want to suggest that through the repetition of listening and looking and watching this, you're going to master whatever you love to do. Go and do it. Get the courage to step out and do it. When you're understanding comes from knowledge. It's the polar opposite of ignorance. When you're understanding, and remember knowledge, the only way you can get it at is through study. Unfortunately, study seems to be something like taxes. People only do it if they have to. Well, what we want to do is fall in love with the idea of studying. When your understanding grasps the power to visualize your heart's desire. The heart is the spiritual core of your being. And you know something? Spirit's always for expression and fuller expansion. Spirit's always for growth, never for disintegration. When you see things get bad and they say it must be God's will, that's an expression of ignorance. God's will is always for expansion and fuller expression. Greater ways, greater things. That is God's will for you, for me, for everyone else. Never for hard times. Abundance is our birthright. We've been conned, folks. She said, when your understanding grasps the power to visualize your heart's desire and then hold it with your will. Don't let some peon suggestion knock the idea out of your mind. You can't do it because you never have up till now. Hold the idea with your will. Concentrate. Do like Napoleon. He said, I see only the objective. The obstacle must give way. Do like he did, but don't be like he was. He wasn't a nice person. She said, when you do that, it will attract to you all things requisite to the fulfillment of that picture, and it'll attract it by the harmonious vibration, the law of attraction. You know what you have to do? If nothing's created or destroyed, you've got to get on the same frequency as the good that you desire is on. There's music in this room right now. You don't hear it, but it's here. If I brought in a little transistorized radio and turned it on, you'd hear the music. Did I invite the music in, or did I tune into something that was already here? And all I have to do is change the dial and I get different music. And change it again to get different music. And what am I doing? I'm tuning in on different frequencies. And as you get the image and get involved, you alter the frequency you're on. Therefore, you attract whatever's on that frequency. You want poverty? Tune into it. Be delivered right on schedule. Me, I've never liked poverty. Never. Even when I lived in it. 3 certain steps for prosperity in all areas of your life. Number 1, build the image. That's plugging in the bigger bulb so that you can illuminate your life in a greater way. Turn it over to Spirit. Turn it over to Spirit. Let go and let John. Let go and let God. God's everywhere. He's everything. We'll work through you. We'll give you whatever you want. But you've got to ask for it. And you ask in the form of feelings. Number 3, expect. Expect it with your heart and soul that Spirit will reward you openly for your faith. It will reward you openly for your faith. What we really want to do is raise our level of awareness so the expectation becomes a natural state for our mind to be in. And we've already mentioned that expectation is a mindset. It's a mental state. And you're going to find that that state comes to you with an increase of awareness. Now, in talking about the law of vibration, we're starting off here saying the law of vibration explains the difference between mind and matter, between the physical state and the non-physical state of everything in the universe, which includes you. So we're talking about the non-physical and here the non-physical, and here we're talking about the physical. Now, this non-physical part of our personality is where the mental magic starts to take place. We call these our creative tools. They're mentioned in an earlier lesson under the heading of intellectual factors. And it's the intellectual factors that we want to develop. And in developing them, what we do is raise our level of consciousness. Now you come back here, we say, under the law of vibration, we find that everything vibrates, nothing rests. Everything is in a constant state of motion. There is no such thing as inertia. From the mental to the grossest form of matter, all is in vibration. This lectern is made of, I suppose we would call it lucite. However, it appears to be solid, but it's really not. If you look under a microscope, you'll see particles of energy moving. And of course, that would be the same with every physical form that you might look at under a microscope. Now, we say graduating between the lowest and the highest form of vibration, there are literally millions of cells or levels of vibration. Rates of vibration are known as frequency. The higher the frequency, the more potent it becomes. Thought being one of the highest forms of vibration and very potent in nature should certainly be understood. Now, thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and all space. It's not an accident if you happen to be wandering down the Champs-Élysées in Paris or maybe Oxford Street in London, England, and a loved one may be sitting in Colorado Springs, and they're really concentrating. Something has happened at home, and they really want you to phone home. All of a sudden, you get a feeling you should phone home. Now, what did we say feeling was? Vibration. Their thought waves are in resonance or in harmonious vibration on the same frequency as certain cells in your brain. And as that thought wave of theirs strikes your brain cells, it sets up a vibration in you. You call that a feeling. You've got a feeling you should phone home. And you phone and they'll say, oh, thank goodness you phoned. We've been wanting to talk to you. Do you think that's an accident? You and I have the creative ability of looking at our inner world, and we're in what we call a self-conscious state. We are aware of our objective as well as our subjective world. Now, there are many varying degrees of consciousness until you reach the higher state, which is called divine or cosmic. Use whatever word you choose. It's divine or cosmic consciousness. All religions that have maintained their balance over any period of time are founded on the premise that we will one day be one with our Maker. We will reach this higher or divine conscious state. We will be aware of our oneness with this power. Now, you're going to find individuals who have a very low level of consciousness. Therefore, they have a very low level of what we call awareness. Now, the awareness dictates how that person lives. You will find then individuals, some are up in years, some are fairly young, that have a very high level of consciousness. They're not way down here with their consciousness. They have a very high level of consciousness, and they have a very, very high level of awareness. Now, these people have a phenomenal vibration. Their energy, you feel so good around them. There's something about them that you're attracted to. You're not quite sure what it is. You see, you couldn't articulate on it because it's vibration. You very rarely see these people upset. You very rarely see them excited or depressed. They have learned how to maintain a magnificent balance. Everything they do, they seem to do very, very well. They're very creative. They know how to get results. They know how to stay on track and not let the suggestions that are coming from their outside world knock them off track. The only thing that person could attract is what's on that level or on that frequency. Consciousness, vibration, frequencies, we're talking about the same thing. If a person's suffering with headaches, they're not suffering with headaches because they want headaches. They're suffering from headaches because they're not aware of how to eliminate the headaches. If a person is alone and lonely, they're not alone and lonely because they want to be. They're alone and lonely because they're not aware of how to change it. Now, what you and I are really seeking is a higher level of awareness. And you know, that's what we're gaining as we're studying this material. The more you're raising your level of consciousness. Now, what you're really doing is raising your level of awareness. And we're going to get to the point where we're very, very tuned in. We say the law of vibration could be explained in many ways for various purposes. It is our intention to confine it to thoughts, an effort to improve the quality of our life. Because that's what we really want to know. We want to know, how does reaching the goal and the awareness of vibration, how do they connect? Where's the connection there? Well, the more we understand this, the more we'll understand what I'm saying here. Because everything vibrates. So what we want to do is get into harmonious vibration with whatever good we desire. For you to grasp a clear understanding of how you can actually take dominion over your results, to understand how and why thoughts and things come into your life as they do, you must go back to this basic premise which we started with, where I held the glass of water and talked about the energy. We called it water, we called it steam, we called it air, ether, or gas. It was the same energy, it was just altering its level of vibration. Now we say energy is neither created nor destroyed. All science and all theology have taught us that for, let's say, for the past 6,000 years at least in recorded history. Now, everything is merely in a constant state of vibration, being manifest in all varying degrees of vibration. We have the ability to alter the vibratory rate of anything. I could take and alter the vibratory rate of this lectern. I had the choice, I had the ability to do that because I'm a creative being. I do have dominion over. Well, now we know that with simple little things. Let's use it for higher things. We say with free will and the other many mental factors we possess, in our marvelous mind, you have the co-creative ability to cause vibratory change to take place as you choose. If I'm not feeling good, negative vibration, I can switch the idea in my mind. All of a sudden I'm feeling good, positive vibration. How's that controlled? It's controlled by the various ideas that I will choose to entertain from time to time, build here and plant here. Because whatever goes in here dictates the vibration my mind body is in. And we must understand mind body are one and the same, not two. Not two. Now with free will, reason is one intellectual factor, will is another intellectual factor. Reason gives us freedom, and the will gives us the ability to lock into an idea and control our vibration. And stay in the vibration we must be in to attract something that's already here. It's like the way to fly the airplane was already here. We say the lack of ability to exercise this tremendous power for good is caused by ignorance. Through study, you develop understanding. Let's look at the polar opposite. Through ignorance, a person gets into a state called worry or doubt. They don't have the understanding of how to change vibration. They don't have the understanding of how to control what's going on the inside by blocking out what's going on the outside. Now, if a person is in this psychic state, that's called a mental disease, they're worried. They think they're not going to get what they need to look after what they say they have to look after. That worry, when it's impressed and changed into an emotional state, it then turns into something that's more commonly referred to as fear. That fear energy has to be expressed through the only instrument it can be expressed through, the physical body. Instantly and automatically, the body moves into a vibration more commonly known as anxiety. You never have to worry about whether you're going to reach your goal. Through the repetition of hearing and studying and watching and learning this information, you'll never fear whether you're going to get there. Because you see, understanding gives us the ability, if we cannot see the positive circumstance on the outside, we can build it on the inside. That's why Napoleon said, circumstance, hell, I make them. George Bernard Shaw said, people are always blaming circumstance for what they are. He said, I don't believe in circumstance. The people who get on in this world are the people who get up, look for the circumstances they want, and if they can't find them, they make them. They have the understanding they can do that. And through doing that and getting emotionally involved, they then set up an emotional state that's quite opposite to fear. It's called faith. The faith must manifest on the physical plane as health or well-being. Now, this could be in our social life, could be a healthy body, healthy bank account, healthy business. Name it and claim it. So you can see, it really makes a lot of sense to know how to take control of this. We say, let there be light. And there was light. Let there be light. You'll never force light. Light is consciousness. Force negates. Force only works in the physical plane of life. On the mental plane, you have to let it happen. You just let it flow into your consciousness. Now, if you're a negative person, in other words, you're choosing negative ideas, you're worrying, fear, and anxiety, you know the only thing you can attract? The people that are vibrating on that frequency. You're going to attract other negative people. Misery loves company. That just isn't a cute saying. Birds of a feather flock together. Now, if you're a heavy hitter, understand this. Eagles don't flock. Sparrows do. Big difference. And the heavy hitters, they're all attracted to each other. They go to the same clubs. They take the same kind of vacations. They drive the same kind of cars. They live in the same neighborhoods. Now, if you're not one, how do you become one? Mix with them. You choose your environment. That's exactly what I did. We're talking about our connecting links. Slowly but deliberately see with your inner eye of understanding how you connect with the good that you desire. We say two objects whose electromagnetic fields are the same have the same frequency, therefore they are in resonance, in harmony, or have a rapport. When two objects are in resonance, or well within the same sphere of relative motion of each other, vibration can be transmitted from one to the other through the medium of the electron. Resonance is concerned with the electromagnetic field surrounding the objects. We find that a globe on a chandelier will vibrate in resonance with a certain key on the piano, yet it will not vibrate to any other key on the piano, just the one. Why do you think music will make you feel so good sometimes? Why do you think music will get you jumpy and make you want to dance? You know? Why? Vibration. Affects cells in your brain, puts you in a new vibration. You want to act differently. There's some radio stations that you enjoy. They're in harmony with the way you think. There's some that drive you crazy. They're not in harmony with the way you think. But there's a market for them all. All electromagnetic waves or quantums have their rate of frequency, which means the number of changes in direction per second. The electric wave spectrum is in a scale of vibration and is divided into regions. One must remember that these regions are not actual divisions, but merely arbitrary spaces covering frequencies that manifest in our senses in different ways, each region blending into both the one above and the one below, like we said, like the colors of a rainbow. Now we say the earth and the universe are all but degrees in one scale and are in their basic nature the same. The difference be solely a matter of degree or vibration. All manifests of the same energy. Do you know that when you grasp this idea, all of your prejudices will disappear? It'll disappear. And you know why they'll disappear? Because of understanding. It's the removing of ignorance. When the world understands this truth, that everything is an expression of the same thing, we will see that all people are the same. They only appear to be different. How do they appear to be different? They appear to be different to our physical senses, our lowest mental tools. The dividing lines are not borders, color, or language, but ignorance. You attract whatever or whomever you are in harmonious vibration with. The results vary. The people remain the same. The results vary. The people remain the same. We say everything is an expression of the same thing. Now we're repeating ourselves just different ways. You are connected to everything in the universe and everything with you. Whether you can see it with the naked eye or not is unimportant. The only difference between one thing and another is in density or amplitude of vibration. When you choose certain thoughts, brain cells are affected. They vibrate and send off electric waves. When you are concentrating on those thoughts, you increase the amplitude of vibration of those cells and the electric waves become much more potent. Do you want your thoughts to be more potent? Develop the willpower, the will, and the mental faculty. That gives you the ability to concentrate. The average individual would have more ideas running across their mind in a matter of a minute. Know that you are originating those electric waves and know that you are also determining the density of them by your own choice. You must also know that since you are originating these electric waves, your whole being is in that particular vibration. Now think. You're taking brain cells and you're causing them to increase in amplitude of vibration and you're sending off a powerful surge of energy. Do you know the only energy those brain cells can take on is the same energy it's sending off? The only energy those brain cells can take on is a like energy to that which you're sending off. You focus on the negatives in another person, what kind of energy do you think you're taking on? What kind of a vibration do you think you're in? I think it might be a wise idea to focus on the good aspects of even the worst situation. I could have got upset when the yo-yo string broke, or I could laugh at myself. I've got a choice. We have had magnificent instruments that's been used in the medical profession for years. And these magnificent instruments do nothing but measure vibration. The brain, the heart. And they'll tell you whether you're healthy or whether you are moving into trouble. Do you know how they can tell? By the vibration you're in. By the vibration you're in. And we want to understand that the brain is that electronic instrument that controls the nervous system throughout the body, which is the electrical system in the body. You've heard of people having nervous breakdowns? No such thing. Person had a nervous breakdown, they'd be a puddle on the floor. The nervous system is the electrical system that keeps the body intact. They lose conscious control. Conscious control. They do not understand how to control this magnificent electrical instrument that they live in. Your body is the most phenomenal object on planet Earth, in the cosmos as far as I'm concerned. We are truly creative beings in charge of our own world, and we're in charge because we can alter vibration. Alter vibration. Create new vibration. Color is vibration. You ever noticed if you wear a certain color, you feel better? I'm going to ask that you focus on your goal. Get the thing that you want more than anything else riveted in your mind, and then take every bit of information and relate it to the goal. Don't just listen to it as information. Let this information mean something to you, and take all the ideas that he's going to come across and direct it towards the object or the thing that you truly desire.